This is a view that you may not have seen since the pandemic. People strolling through roads, just enjoying the outdoors. And even now for me, it's very surreal to be walking through this street. But it is really nice. I don't have to worry about a motor vehicle trying to hit me or anything of that nature. I can kind of just space out and walk around. Yet this is the lifestyle that the people of Jackson Heights have chosen to preserve, even as we've tapered from the darker days of the pandemic. A chunk of 34th Avenue has been blocked off primarily for pedestrian use. Across the street, roadblocks have been set up to stop cars from entering. Traffic calming measures have been installed to slow down vehicles, and bike lanes have been painted. But it wasn't always like this. 34th Avenue used to be just another car-centric street. The heavily gridded streets and tight corners also often meant that the area was the victim to numerous traffic accidents and long road blockages. But in 2022, the local community and the New York City Department of Transportation drafted several proposals to turn the slightly over 1 mile stretch of land into a pedestrian parkway. The idea was that this would be a road where cars are treated as guests. Which is honestly one of the most refreshing phrases I've ever heard said in the United States. Since then, this street has become a center of community in the area. The park has been expanded into a plaza where people just calmly sit and enjoy themselves. People peacefully biking down this street in somewhat designated lanes. People come here to walk with their kids and just sit on the median. The local nonprofit, Jackson Heights Beautification Club, has worked to decorate and beautify the median as well. Finally, and what I think is the most wholesome part of all of this, is the swarm of children that now use this street to go to school and walk back home. Every morning, local students can be seen walking, biking, and scootering in droves to school. The best part is that it is all very safe. However, I would be remiss if I said that there wasn't room for improvement. And there's always room for improvement. Many cars still use this road for parking. The drivers will get out, move the barriers, and park their vehicles. Oftentimes, they will then forget to put the barrier back. While this is not the worst thing, it is inconvenient for pedestrians as they do still need to be reminded that this is not a completely traffic-free street. This is more of a parking lot with better painted infrastructure and beautification efforts. There are still crosswalks throughout this area, which is necessary, but it does feel ridiculous that humans need to stand at these traffic lights pretending that they are cars. Reminds me of that old Saturn commercial of people pretending to be cars. Another issue is that mopeds sort of run wild in these streets. A lot of people use this road as a means to deliver food, and they scoot around in these streets. This is more or less fine if the mopeds are driving slow and under 15 miles per hour, but occasionally a 100cc moped that can hit over 30 miles per hour gets on this road. Although I honestly don't know how to solve this problem without introducing local micromobility police. But in general, if you've been following this channel, you know one of my pet peeves is people complain about things without actually offering solutions. Anyone can really smell bullshit, but few really want to clean it up. So let's talk about a few solutions. The city should move to make a more permanent solution that doesn't rely on mainly paint on the ground and cinder blocks. For one, I would actually combine the various modes of transport in specific sections. Right now it is a bit hectic that both pedestrians and bikes share the same space. I would extend one of these sidewalks and make it exclusively pedestrian friendly. I would then section off a third of the street just for bikes. We can use the same median design to have nice foliage and tree coverage for both pedestrians and bikes. With the reduced car traffic, we can also add more crosswalks as pedestrians can more easily and safely cross the roads. These crosswalks will also be useful for necessary vehicles. Part of making this more walkable would also be to multi-zone it. I think these open spaces on the corners would actually make great small kiosks for coffee shops, bodegas, or street grocers. Even today, temporary vendors open up shop in these sections. Okay, so how about the cars? Well, realistically, we only need to accommodate emergency, cargo, and maintenance vehicles, as they are the cars that actually need to get to these buildings. There are also private vehicles to consider, and this is where my two-part idea really comes in. The first idea is we sort of leave the street as it is, and allow for one of these lanes to continue being a parking and one-way lane. Cars will still move at 5 miles per hour, and people can walk here as well. However, I would argue that if you live anywhere west of Flushing, You really don't need a car in New York City.
If you'd actually be interested in seeing how I live my life in New York City without a car, leave a comment down below. I'll make a video on how I do some of the more arduous tasks in the area.
But I would move to reduce free parking altogether in this area and just leave the lane as a convenient U-turn point for cars trying to get in between these one-direction roads. The second idea is a bit more ambitious. I propose we actually entirely remove parking and driving on these streets. This allows us to have a wider bike lane, which is useful when you have many bikes, cargo bikes, and maybe even an electric bike or two. Widening the bike lane will also allow emergency vehicles, cargo vehicles, and maintenance vehicles to still enter if necessary, which, truth be told, are actually the only types of cars we need here. Private cars are unnecessary. I actually think this is the inevitable plan in the long run. Jackson Heights has ambitious future plans for expanding their bicycle infrastructure. The neighborhood has already agreed to be part of the next city bike expansion. The majority of the neighborhood already has bike lanes, and many are not even that bad. Furthermore, given the financial diversity of the neighborhood and its proximity to the subway line, many of the more low-income families in the area would greatly benefit from bike infrastructure, as it won't force them to take out high-end loans just to get around the area.
You can see that just from the amount of bikes that are parked and stacked everywhere, there's a clear demand for more bike infrastructure. People want to bike, but the thing is, most of Jackson Heights is still just free parking. It's actually an insane waste of space and money. This can easily be a cheap way to move people quickly. Some of these one-way streets should simply just be bike exclusive.
I think what scares me the most about the current solution, and why I think the city should move quickly to design a more permanent infrastructure, is that the current solution feels very ephemeral. As easy as it is to place paint on the road, it is just as easy to remove it. Overall, I think Jackson Heights and neighborhoods like it are actually a model for the future we want cities to go. But unless we make real committed moves to preserve these small changes that we have started, there is a good chance that these streets may return to being single-use car-centric roads.
Hey, don't look so glum. Remember, you can always get involved in your local community if you don't like the way things are and you want to change them. But if you're too busy to get involved, the least you can do is like this video and share it with someone who may get involved. No, but seriously, it really helps the channel. And like always, if you want to see more of this urban planning and New York City exploration videos, remember to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next episode.